Hey everyone, so today we are tackling a massive topic, the Industrial Revolution. This wasn't just some small update in human history, it was a complete and total reboot of society itself. Seriously, it changed everything. So let's just dive right in. So let's start with a really big question. Think about it. For thousands and thousands of years, the way people lived, it barely changed. And then suddenly, bam, in the span of just a couple hundred years, the entire world was remade. So how did we do it? How did we build this incredibly complex, global, tech-filled world we live in today in what feels like the blink of an eye? I mean, the contrast is it's wild. We went from a world where most people lived in the countryside, where pretty much everything was made by hand for your local village, to the world we know now, a world of cities, of things made by machines, of stuff that comes from all over the planet. It was a completely seismic shift. Right, but a change this big doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It was more like a perfect storm of different factors that all came together at just the right time, starting in Great Britain. So let's take a look at the seeds that eventually grew into this revolution. You can almost think of it like a recipe. First, you need more people. And to get more people, you need more food. So the agricultural revolution, with all these new farming tricks, created way more food and, well, a population boom. To that, you add Britain's incredible luck of having tons of coal and iron right under their feet, plus the money from global trade to actually build stuff. The final ingredient, the real spark, was a whole new wave of game-changing technology. Okay, so we've got all our ingredients in place. Now let's look at the engine that actually drove all this progress forward. The machines that changed, well, everything. We're moving from the why it happened to the how. And the big idea here, the core concept, is mechanization. For basically the first time in history, human and animal power, muscle, was being replaced on a huge scale by the power of machines. This one simple idea is really the heart of the entire industrial transformation. And if you had to pick one single invention that defined this new age of machines, this is it. James Watt's improved steam engine wasn't just another neat gadget. It was the power source that basically put a rocket engine on the entire revolution. For the first time ever, we could create power that didn't depend on muscles, or the wind, or a river. The steam engine was a true force multiplier, and you can see right here just how it completely transformed everything it touched. In textiles, it powered looms to make cloth on a massive scale. For iron, it powered furnaces to create stronger metals for all those new machines. And in transport, it gave us trains and steamships, literally shrinking the world. But the effects went way, way beyond the factory walls. This tech revolution sparked an equally massive social revolution. It didn't just change how people worked, it changed where they lived, how they lived, and even who they thought they were. You can see that incredible shift right here in the data. In just 100 years, the population of Great Britain just flipped. It went from being mostly rural to mostly urban. People poured out of the countryside, drawn to the cities by the promise of jobs in the new factories. This created these massive industrial cities like Manchester basically overnight. And this new city life basically created two brand new social classes. On one side, you had the bourgeoisie, the new middle class of factory owners, bankers, and professionals who got incredibly rich from all this. And on the other side, you had the proletariat, the massive new working class, the people who actually did the work but lived in completely different and much harsher conditions. And yeah, the price of all this progress was paid by that working class. It was brutal. We're talking 12 to 16-hour days working around dangerous machines. Child labor was everywhere. The cities they crammed into were overcrowded and filthy, leading to horrible diseases like cholera. The smoke from the factories literally blocked out the sun, and the waste poisoned the rivers. Now, a revolution this powerful, born in Britain, wasn't going to stay there for long. Its ideas, its technology, and all its consequences, both good and bad, quickly started to spread and reshape the entire planet. And as this timeline shows, it spread fast. First, it hops from Great Britain over to the rest of Europe, to places like Belgium and Germany. Then it jumps the Atlantic to the United States. By the end of the century, even places like Japan and Russia were firing up their own factories, all competing in this new global game. But this global spread had a really dark side. Industrial factories are hungry. They have a bottomless appetite for raw materials like cotton and rubber. And they also needed new places to sell all the stuff they were making. This hunger for resources and markets, backed by new tech like steamships and better weapons, directly fueled the age of imperialism and led to things like the scramble for Africa. So when you step back and look at it all, what's the legacy? Well, it's complicated, to say the least. The Industrial Revolution gave us mind-blowing economic growth and technology we couldn't have dreamed of, but it also baked deep social inequality and massive environmental damage into the system. It's the engine that created the global world we live in, with all of its amazing successes and all of its huge challenges. And that leaves us with a final, really important question to chew on. Did all that incredible progress ultimately outweigh the immense human and environmental pain it caused? And as we face our own challenges today, things like inequality and climate change, how are we still dealing with the consequences of a revolution that kicked off more than 200 years ago?